I generally put out weekly meditations, and it's been a couple of weeks since I put something out, and I wanted to kind of address something that I think is a little bit more, perhaps, and more on my mind than actual meditation. So I thought it might be worthwhile to put this out there, and that is the idea of well, we could look at it in different ways. Basically, waking up, to life's situations, and not only this life, but other lives as well. I firmly believe in past lives. I practice past life regression, or just basically regression work with people. And one of the reasons I do that is because of the aspect of being able to let go in a regression. We learn these lessons in life. Sometimes we forget the lessons, and in a regression work we get a chance to review these things, whether it's this life or any other life. And one of the things that I've been taught over the years is that if we live a life of self-service, serving the self, as opposed to living a life to serve others. First of all, to serve others is also serving the self. There's not much we can do to help ourselves out, much more than helping other people. It's just a way, a typical exchange, a way of life. If we help others, we immediately feel better. We can test the waters on that just by helping somebody. And so if we really kind of look at this as applying like 51% of our lives towards, at least 51% of our lives towards the service of others, it is a way of progressing. In these modern days, maybe a new age thought, I guess you could say, is that we go from 3D to 4D to 5D, and these are dimensions. Third dimension, which is the typical dimension that we're living life now, and progressing to 4, 5, 6th dimension. And this is no different than levels of awakening that teachers like the Buddha had referred to. And it's in the Buddha Sutras, actually, these levels of awakening, very much the same thing. And the first area is to really separate ourselves from what the Buddha called, in modern terms, selfing. Thinking of the self more than thinking of others. It's a sure way to have a rebirth in what the Buddha called the lower realms. In the New Age way of thinking, it's if we get stuck in this realm of self-service, we won't progress from the third dimension onto the fourth dimension, and so on. And this is also the reason for what we call the veil of forgetfulness. In my work, in regression work, the veil of forgetfulness comes up quite a bit. People say, why don't we remember these things, these past lives, or even things that have happened in this lives? Why don't we remember these lessons that we've got? Why aren't they embedded, and that we don't make the same mistakes again and again? And the reason for that is because in such a way that if we did not have this veil of forgetfulness, it would be kind of an artificial lesson for us. It would be very much like teaching a child to be kind to others, whether it doesn't, and they make an artificial effort to be kind to their brother or sister, as a young person. It doesn't come from the heart. It's the same way, that's why a lot of religions don't work for a lot of people, because it's forced. like you shall do this, or you should do this, or do that, and it's kind of an artificially learned behavior. Whereas, like a child, if there's a little girl and or a little boy, and you give them a piece of candy, and they immediately turn around and try to give it to their little brother or to another child, because it comes from their heart. This is nothing that they were taught, for an example. They're not taught to share their candy with somebody else. They just do it from instinct, intuition alone. It's very much like the grandma making a child a sandwich and putting it in front of the child, and rather than the child just digging in, they're waiting for the grandma to sit down and eat with them, or they want to share their sandwich with grandma, before they even start eating it. And these are things that we look at this coming from a child, and we go, wow, that's amazing that they've never been taught this, and then they're living life in this way at this early of an age. This is a good example of somebody that has learned the lesson, that has taken this behavior from the past and has carried it forward into their behavior now. And we can look at the things that we do on just a habitual or instinctual level, our behavior. Do we feel as if helping others is important? Do we get that feeling of gratitude, that like we've really helped somebody and accomplished somebody? And one way we can look at this is when we fall in love with somebody, genuine love, we want the best for them. We would sacrifice ourselves for that other person. This is the same kind of concept that, on a deeper human level, where we actually will do anything to help that other person, where we can sacrifice this life of ours for that other person or that other group of people. And we see that happening all the time, and we can tell whether it's genuine or not, or whether somebody's just kind of faking it and saying that they care for others and not really going through with it from the level of the heart. So this veil of forgetfulness is set in place for us to progress on this path from life to life, and from existence to existence, and to go from level to level, awakening or increases in dimensional awareness, we could say, from level 3, dimension D, 3D to 4D, this type of thing, on a very honest heart-to-heart level, as opposed to thinking that I have to learn this lesson, because it's more from an artificial standpoint. So we can do this in many ways. Being aware is the main thing. To be aware that how we feel when we actually send somebody a loving greeting, or when we tell somebody that we care for them, or all these small things, they are a part of our lives. They add up. And actually, doing something, giving somebody food when we feel that they might need it, or giving them words of advice when it might be needed, or just words of encouragement. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. We can look in our meditations, and when things come up in our meditation practices, especially if we do a practice like recall and create, where we think of our past and we do that in the present moment. These things come up from our past, and we carry those forward into our future and create our future. If you have questions about recall and create, just go to shanewilson.org, click on more, and then there will be a whole series of pages on this practice called recall and create. It's very intense. In other words, it's very involved, and it's kind of hard to explain in just a few words. So I can direct you there. And if you have questions, feel free to contact me. If you have questions about this video, by all means, ask in the comment section. Ask me in email or any way you can contact me. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe. Would love to have you be a part of this on an ongoing basis. And we'll leave it at that. I'm sending you love, happiness, and practice. Thank you.